recording, apparently. And we are live. It is 7:58 p.m. That's right, 2 minutes early. What is it? February the 24th, 2019. Wow, I don't know where this month went. Sunday, blustery Sunday evening. Winds are howling, and I'm your friendly neighborhood hippie Ben. And we have my good friend Bryan Cote in the house. Musician, photographer, motorcycle nut. How's it going, man?
Pretty good, pretty good. Trying to stay grounded with all this wind that we're having there, but other than that, it's good stuff.
Ain't that the truth? Yes. Yeah, the wind is howling, but it's melting the snow, so we're not complaining. Well, though it started snowing when I was driving home from rehearsal, so.
Yeah, it's supposed to get cold overnight, so it'd be fun to see what happens tomorrow morning.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Let's see. We got in the chat. We have Absolute Mayhem. Good to see you, buddy. Chuck Booth, Matt Duffy, our good friend Guitar Hack, Loogie Flux, Jeff Harper, Brian Stewart, Marsman, I Rock the Blues, Gussie Wells, Alex Radford, Lionheart Whitemane. Wow, I can't believe I said that correctly the first time out. Some guy named Quentin James is awake, apparently. Jack Clark, Scott Nickerson, Gussie Wells, if I didn't mention you earlier. Guitar Collector 12, always a pleasure. Janice, good to see you.
Nice.
Yeah, we got a bunch of people already jumping in.
Very nice.
Good to see you.
I hope everyone's
staying warm and dry. And excuse me. I'm still getting over the cold. My God, that thing kicked my ass.
Yeah, a lot of people have been getting the bug.
Yeah,
I noticed in the last couple of weeks. I've been lucky. I'm kind of keeping my fingers crossed that it doesn't. I don't get it, but you never know.
I've been doing all of our rehearsals sitting down. I thought today, hey, I'll stand and I'll play. You know, get the body in shape because we're gigging next Saturday. Put the guitar around my neck. Went, nope, I'm sitting down.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that. If you're not feeling well, you know, you do what you can. At least you were there and you played, right?
We were there. We got a new singer. We're trying to get her up to speed. So it was funny because we take a break and I'm like, I'm sorry if I sound like a bitch because it's just that bit of a shortness in attitude because you're not feeling well. I'm like, yeah, you need to do this instead of this. Oh, okay. I'm like, man, that just came out like such a diva. She goes, I know you're not feeling well. Like, I was like, thank you.
Right.
Let's see.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing her.
Already has a question. Anyone looking to purchase a Shark guitar? Are you looking to purchase a Shark guitar, Brian?
I am not. I am not.
As cool as
I don't have anything against them.
I can't justify buying one because, my God, if I showed up for a gig with that thing, my bandmates would, I don't know what they would say. Other than, really, dude, are you using that for the Tom Petty stuff or the Beatles stuff?
Right. I don't have anything against them. I'm just more of a traditionalist. I think if you look at what I have as far as guitars, or Telecasters and Les Pauls and now a Strat and stuff. So I kind of stay in that range, and the more extreme stuff, I just doesn't really fit me, I guess. So that guitar doesn't really do anything for me.
I hear you. Quentin wants a Bumblebee. Who doesn't? The Bumblebee is just badass.
The Bumblebee.
Ulster Fishing, welcome. Barefoot Mode, good to see you. Just thought, Brian Stewart, just when you thought it was safe to go back in the guitar store. Shark! Nice.
That's awesome.
They do play nice, though. I will say that.
Oh, I'm sure they're great guitars, and they're built properly and everything. It's just, you know, everybody has their thing that they like, right?
What surprised me was, with that whole stripy paint job going all over the neck and headstock and everything, the fact that it's totally smooth. Like, it's a nice satin finish on the back of the neck. Like, I was like, my God, this thing feels smoother than a Les Paul neck.
Wow. Yeah. How much do they cost, those ones?
I think there were 1,500-1,600 Canadian. They're going to come in at it.
Okay.
And they're Mexican built, but there's a lot of stuff going. Considering you figure Mexican Strats and Tellies are pushing what 900 range now for the Player Series. The amount of custom work it's not an off the rack guitar, that's for sure. So
That's right. Yeah.
It's well worth the money.
Yeah, like I said, it's probably a great guitar and it's worth it. It's built well. It's just, if you're not into that style, you're not going to be appealed by any of it. So you look at something else, right? So, exactly. But they're probably great guitars.
Yeah. Hey, David Ennis, good to see you. Todd Flowers, Thrash Metal.
Thrash Metal, yeah. I did a stream on Thursday. I was testing some stuff out on Thursday, and Thrash Metal and Soda Pop and people were in there. They were asking me to play some Slayer and things. So I didn't know a couple of riffs, and I tried. And as soon as I picked up the guitar to go play them, I was mixing up like 2 riffs of Slayer that were very close to each other, and I didn't have the song in my head. I couldn't pull it off. I was like trying. I'm like, I got to learn this song. So as soon as the stream ended, I went back and listened to the song. Then I knew it right away as soon as I heard the song. But
of course,
man, that's so frustrating.
We got Jamaica Girl stopping in. Hey, just wanted to say hello, big like. I'm driving. Have a blessed night. Drive safe. Drive safe, Jamaica Girl. She's down North Carolina, I believe.
Oh.
Quentin says Canadians pay like 39% in tax, but weed is legal, so there's that. Well, it's 13% sales tax, and then we get hooped at the border as well. So,
yeah, don't forget the brokerage fees and all the other stuff you have to pay at the border, right?
Apparently, Mayhem's all about the ESP LTD stuff. He says, "Sorry, man, if I'm buying an Explorer type guitar, it won't be a shark, but a snake bite." To each their own. Personally, if I was going to buy an Explorer shaped guitar, probably buy an Epiphone Explorer. It's got the same style stock and
that new one that red one that Tone King had there, that's an Epiphone, right?
Yeah, the Jason Hook
that's
one.
That's a nice guitar.
Yeah, and I like the way they did the relief on the top there. Really smart idea.
Makes a big difference. Those little details make huge difference.
Yeah. Let's see. Zip Fix Guitars. Hi, Ben. Building a new jam room. Awesome. Good to hear. Pack's all about the Firebird right now. We'll go figure.
Yeah, I guess I wasn't sure if he was going to keep it because he was talking about, how it would feel when he played with it and gigged with it and stuff. So I wasn't sure if he was going to dig it or not. But I guess
I'm glad he can. Like I remember I always wanted a Firebird, and a buddy of mine bought one. He goes, "Here, pick it up." I said, "Okay." And the way SGs are so much forward, I found Firebirds were even more forward on top of that. It was like that much again. And I went to strum it, and I found half the time I was strumming behind the bridge, just because I'm used to being that far back with a Les Paul. And I just went, I can't play this thing. Like, as much as I loved it.
Yeah,
my lovely sister. Lizzie Hale Explorer is nice too, Brian. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here.
That's a nice guitar.
E64 T-Bird. Ben, when you're doing a cover song, how close to the original do you have to be? I think you definitely have to be close enough that people recognize the song. As far as dead on, no. Make it your own. I always like it when bands take a song and make it their own. We definitely do. Whether it's skipping verses in certain songs to shorten them a bit, or extending songs, with a couple extra guitar solos and stuff. Other than that, definitely make it your own.
Yeah.
Hey, Michael B, quick thumbs and hello. We'll catch the replay. Have fun, gang. Thanks for stopping in, Michael.
Awesome.
So you do have some interests outside of music, and we know there's photography, and I was going to touch on it as well as motorcycles. So what kind of motorcycles are you into?
Mostly Harley Davidsons, but I like all kinds, right? But my dad was a motorcyclist, and he always had Harley Davidsons, so I kind of grew up around those bikes and that lifestyle and that culture, and it always really appealed to me. And so that's what I've had. Like, I've always had a motorcycle. As far as I went probably 3 or 4 years in my life that I didn't have one. I was busy doing other things, but for the most part, I've always had one. And Harley Davidson has been pretty much the the bikes that I've been drawn to. But I've had sports bikes, and I've had dirt bikes. I was a motocross guy for a long time, did motocross racing, tried to get back into motocross racing just about 3-4 years ago, thinking that I could still do it. And that was a mistake.
Yeah, why don't you enter a mosh pit while you're at it, buddy? That'll show you your age real quick too, right?
That's right. So yeah, I sold that, and I'm gonna stick with just a nice Harley road bike that I can go out in the weekends and just enjoy the country. And nice. It's kind of my zen, right? Just go out and relax and just think of other things other than the craziness of life, right?
Similar to you, I grew up in and around the motorcycle industry. My uncle, from before I was born, he raced super bikes to eventually becoming Canadian champion, and then developed as a side business into the largest aftermarket exhaust company in Canada for bikes. If you're familiar with Hindle exhaust system.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, my uncle's
Very
Lang
nice.
Hindle. So he's now retired, and his son and daughter have taken over the company. Our cousins, Lee and Allison.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I
Where
remember.
Are they based out of?
Originally, when he was racing, he was based out of Scarborough.
Okay.
And he ran
cool.
Not only did he run his race team, but also Hindle exhaust systems. Both things run out of a 2-car garage.
Wow.
Yep.
That's amazing.
Yep. So he used to get like his pipes were bent off-site, his muffler parts were made off-site. He'd assembled the mufflers at his bench, and then just package up everything and ship off worldwide. But it was basically a 2-man operation, him and an assistant. And then he had his bikes in the other half of the garage. And and then he relocated up to Port Perry in the early 90s, bought a factory space, and then he got his own benders and stuff, and it just blossomed. Now Hindle's worldwide. So
yeah, they're a huge company.
So awesome. And I was the kid at like 8 years old, just down the road here at Shannonville racetrack, sitting on my uncle's super bike, while they're tuning it, because I'd always loved noise. And then it's like, okay, Ben, you have to get off the motorcycle. Uncle Lang needs it now to go out and race. Okay.
That's crazy. Really cool.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's a good story there that you got that connection with, because that's a huge company. They like, as far as they're very well known and respected in the motorcycle industry.
Yeah,
for sure.
I remember, was it 1993? I went down to Bike Week. Obviously, he was down there, and he was sponsoring a bunch of teams and contingency things like top finisher with a Hindle exhaust got $100 or something, one of those little deals. And he said, "Here's the deal: if you pay for your plane fare down, I have a place for you, and food and everything's covered." I was like, okay. So my cousin and me were flying down for Bike Week, and he called us and he's like, the Norwegian team, I think it was, they dropped the bike. They needed 2 new exhaust systems, and he wanted us to carry on complete exhaust systems on the plane.
Wow.
And we're like, I'm pretty sure you can't, buddy. And they actually held the plane while we're wrapping cardboard around exhaust pipes, because we're like, one dent, these things are useless. So they have to be perfect. And they allowed us to carry on exhaust systems on the plane because it was obviously pre 9/11. So
yeah, exactly. Right. Try doing that now.
Yeah.
That was oh my God. That's cool.
So yeah, it was just hanging out at Daytona Speedway every day, and 500,000 bikers in Daytona Beach at night. Oh, it's just came home with my first tattoo after that trip.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a crazy environment, that's for sure. I went to another big rally is in Sturgis, and that's just insane. The amount of people. It's just a little town, no bigger than, I can't even think of a town that'd be as small, maybe the size of Alliston, maybe, and it's that week is, I think, 500,000 people show up in that town. It's crazy.
I want to say welcome everybody jumping in still. Man, we've got another 10 people that have jumped in since then.
Awesome.
Todd Flower says he was at the same Bike Week and race as me in '93. That's crazy.
Cool.
Small world. So Now
Yeah.
that we have a whole bunch of people in, if you folks are not already subscribed to Bryan Cote, please give him a subscription. I've listed his address in the description right below the video. Let's see if we can get him over 200 subscribers during this. I think we checked, it's at 180, 181 in there. So if 19 of you can give him a subscription, that'd be awesome. You usually go live Monday evenings around 7:30.
Yeah, 7:30 on Mondays, and then sometimes I'll go during the week, depending on. I always check if anybody's streaming because I like to test some equipment and stuff. So if nobody's streaming, like on a Wednesday at 8 o'clock, then I'll go on for an hour to do some testing. So, but Monday night 7:30, I'm keeping to that schedule, and it's going well. So
awesome.
Keep doing it as long as it works and people get value out of it and they like it. Then I'll keep doing it.
Hey, I learn something every time I tune in. So
cool.
Yeah.
That's what I like to hear.
And I think most people don't realize is you can learn something, whether it could be, like if you play something, you might learn a lick or a technique, but it could be something as you're like, hey, I'm using this new camera. It doesn't use a lot of resources. And, it's like, oh, okay. There's so many different sides to watching a live stream that you can learn from.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Terry.
and I like to try to.
What was that?
Cool. Yeah, I like to try to do a little bit of different things, and I like to have a little bit of an agenda and go through it. But during the show, I like people's feedback, and then the show can go anyway at that point. Like we can start a discussion on something completely different if that's what the chat room or the audience wants to talk about. So I like to gear it that way to kind of make it everybody's kind of show, so everybody gets something out of it. But yeah, it's fun, and I'm still learning how to do stuff like properly and what should I be showing, what people are interested in. Even though I do a lot of camera work and stuff like that, it is a music channel more than that. But if people are interested in cameras and photos and stuff, I'm more than willing to share that information anytime.
Oh, for sure. You can't help it. It's like if somebody has a vape question in the chat, I'm not going to just ignore it. I was like, you know what? I'll answer your question. And and it's funny. I used to always make notes before going live, like I want to cover these 4 bullet points type thing. But I find when you go live, it can take an organic path depending on the chat, right? You answer one question, which can lead to something else, which leads into another discussion. And I would get frustrated sometimes because I'd end my stream and I'm like, oh, I forgot to talk about this and this. But then you realize, but we went an hour. It was no dead air. It was a great show. And then I'm like, oh, okay. Well, now I have 2 topics for next week that I didn't get to.
Exactly. Right. That's exactly right. So if you don't get everything you have on your agenda, as long as your show went well and you provided value for the people that attended, I mean, that's what's more important than anything, right? So the agenda is just more of an outline for something, that you have to draw on if there's nothing going on as far as questions and stuff. But as long as there's questions and there's discussion and everybody's getting some sort of value out of it, that's the coolest part. And
I find I rely a lot on the chat nowadays too. Like Absolute Mayhem, he was hanging out over here last Sunday. And he's like, oh, you're going live with Robert Baker in a few hours. I'm like, yep. So, what do you have planned to talk about? I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you mean? I'm like, I have no notes. And now it's just a matter of the way I see it. It's like, I'm saying to you, hey, Brian, let's go meet up at the bar 8 p.m. Sunday, sit down, have a pint, and just shoot the breeze. And it just happened that we invited a bunch of our friends along too. And I find it's just very organic and
it's the best way to do it, I think.
Yeah. I'll leave the structured interviews to Guitar Hack. He's the Barbara Walters. He knows how to formulate questions and
Exactly.
See, we got my sister referencing Kim Mitchell. 4 Walls. What vape question? Favorite flavor? Swedish berries or strawberry banana. Those are my 2 favorites. Let's see here. Oh, Mayhem likes the shook up strawberry. Yeah, that's made out of Toronto. Let's see here. So if you guys have any questions for either of us, feel free to ask away. I'll try to actually pay attention to the chat here.
Yeah, Pork Chop SRV says I learned the Dropbox pedal watching Brian's stream recently. So yeah.
Yes.
So he sees, and that's something that, you know, I wasn't really planning on. I did a review, or not even a review, kind of a product feature on it a few streams back. But on Thursday, when I was doing the testing, Pork Chop was in there, or he was there, and I just happened to hit the pedal to down tune for something, and he said, "Hey, what was that?" And I said, "Oh, this is this pedal." So then I started talking a little bit about what that was, and he didn't have a clue about it. But then he found out about it, did some research, and now he's got, you know, that knowledge of what that product is and what it does. And so things like that is pretty cool when they pop up, right?
I agree. Marsman says, your Bryan Cote, your streams have been getting very polished and the content has been unique. Excellent.
Oh, thank you.
Eddie Van Haskell, good to see you, buddy. It's been a little while. Good to see you. Good to see you. Tone Bolts is in the house. Awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's amazing how one thing leads into another. Like we were joking about with like the Have a Cigar. You know, I happen to play it in a video.
Yeah.
You decided you were going to cover it. And next thing I know, people are like, well, now I got to get a damn phaser and learn that damn song between the two of you guys. And
right. Yeah, that's a cool song. I never really played it. Like when I played in bands and stuff, and we played covers and all kinds of stuff. And that was one of the Pink Floyd songs that we never covered, but I always loved it when I heard it. So a buddy of mine on Facebook said, "Do you take requests?" Because I post my stuff on Facebook as well, those videos. And I said, "Sure." And then he popped in that name of that song and said, "Oh yeah, I remember that song. So I'm sitting down one day at my right in my studio here, and I put the song on and started jamming with him. There, wow, yeah, I remember this song, so I'm gonna attempt it, right? But
sure,
it's a great song, and you put, like you said, you put your own swing or your own thing to it, and you know your style comes out of it. It's not Pink Floyd. It's still Pink Floyd's song, and it's still the same groove and everything, but it's not.
Well, yeah, like that cover that version you did, I really dug it. Like, sure, I was pissed because there's no phaser in it, but that's me personally, you know.
Right.
But what I thought was cool, it was a very heavy version without it being over the top heavy.
Yeah.
You know, like it was right at that limit where it's about as heavy as you could go and still keep it commercial almost, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, and that's kind of my style. The tone, that type of tone and stuff, that's what I kind of gravitate to. Every time I pick up a guitar and I play, that's the stuff that kind of, the majority of the stuff that I play that comes out that way. So I stick with what you know and what really resonates with you. So I'm releasing a song on Tuesday. Well, I'll play it tomorrow night on my stream, but a new one, and it's a Foreigner song, but you know, it's still that thing, right? It has my own style, and I just put it out that way. And this one's going to be very different because and I've taken out the vocals on this one, where I just left the backing vocals for the chorus, but everything else I did the vocals as a guitar part. So that's completely different for me, because I'm not a guitarist. I'm a bass player that kind of transitioned back into music and decided to go all in on guitar. So if you would have spoke to me a year ago when I started back into music, and I would have never attempted to play something like that. Never. Playing a lead part to me was like, no, I'm not even doing that. So as the year went on, I learned so many more things and I got more comfortable. So putting out this song is kind of like that year mark since I started, playing again, and to attempt it. And I think it came out okay, but I'll let the people that see it judge that. But I would have never attempted that a year ago, just because it wasn't.
I get it. I only just started playing lead a little over 2 years ago. And that was only because we started the Honey Badger outfit. Richie's taking over vocals as well as guitar duties. He's like, dude, you're going to have to pick up some of the slack. And I was like, okay, what do you need me to do? And he goes, okay, you need to do all the lead work during the chorus and verses of Whipping Post. I was like, oh, thanks. Yeah, just nothing too simple to start with,
Yeah, right.
Mayhem asks if either of us have any Unity pedals. I'm not sure what he means by that, because then he references a polytune, but a polytune is a tuner pedal. So I do have a tuner pedal on my board, Mayhem, if that's what you mean. I run the Outlaw 6-shooter. 6-shooter? Yeah, 6-shooter tuner.
Yeah, no, I don't have any Unity pedals on my board. But again, my board is made out of like stuff that I'll use in the studio here more than anything, because my tuner is a rack mount that's right in front of me, and I use that. If I was to gig, then I'd probably put one on my board for sure. But at this point, I just use my rack mount tuner that I had. I bought that, I think, in '95 or something, and I still have it, and it's nice. It works great. So
sure. Hey, Mike, my buddy. Hey, Ben, we're watching a movie. Looking forward to tuning in later. Thank you very much for popping in and saying hi. That's awesome. He's a hell of a musician himself. Local guy.
Cool.
I see Tom Z49's tuning in from Saskatchewan. Crazy. Bet you it's nice and warm there.
Yeah, really.
And I agree, yes, Brian Stewart. Mississippi Queen is a fun song to play. It's a little hard to play in a band with 2 guitars, I find.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's like playing Van Halen with 2 guitars in the band. You really got to pick your parts.
Right. So, yeah, I've only I played bass in bands, and I've only, I think, played in one band that had 2 guitar players in it, and it was more of a thrash metal type of thing back in '92 to '94 area. But everything else, all the bands and stuff that I've been in or involved with, always had just the 1 guitar player. So.
Hey, Michael Bishop and Paul Guitar Music too. Anyone plan on playing on Anthony's Couch Potato Jam? I don't know that one yet.
Me neither.
Welcome.
I haven't.
Welcome to the channel.
Yeah, I didn't hear it yet.
Hey, Dogpa, good to see you as well. Yeah, I was trying to think. Like today, we do Matt May's Cocaine Cowgirl, and it's just like E minor, C, and G. The whole song, E minor, C, and G. And I found it was getting cluttered with like both of us playing cowboy chords that are, somewhat distorted. And so I said to Rich, I said, look, you and Larry just hold down the 4-dot, that end of the neck. And especially playing tellies, because they're very twangy, you can mimic a steel guitar sound just by playing an octave higher.
Right.
And so I found, a lot of upstroking chords, like almost like a finger pick, the slowly across the notes in reverse. And I'm doing it and letting them ring and bending stuff. And so he's just like, okay, so you're like noodling this dirty steel guitar over top of the whole song. It's like, yeah, pretty much. And he's like, I love it. Don't stop. I'm like, okay, great.
Well, you got to find your pocket as far as the frequencies of the band, right? And everybody has their little section to fill out that frequency spectrum. So I think that's the key when you've got 2 guitars and a bass player and stuff, is to find your parts and your frequency tone so that you can fill out that that full range. Yeah,
I remember, what was it, when we were in a previous band, all of us were in a previous band together. When I originally joined, the band was reforming. A condition to Rich joining the band again was to bring me in as a second guitar player. And so we started playing, and of course, I'm just following Rich right down the line on every song. And we did like an hour's worth of rehearsing. We take a break, and Larry, our bass player, is just glaring at me. I said, what? He goes, dude, find another place to play. You're a Kiss fan. Kiss was the kings. Ace and Paul never played the same thing. Right. I went, oh, yeah, you're right. He goes, think about it. Okay. But being the new guy brought in as a secondary guitar player, I was like, well, I should be doing all the cowboy chords and let Rich do all that stuff. But he's so set in his ways of just playing those chords. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll start doing it. And next thing you know, that's where it started coming with a lot of this little noodling work over top and, in between lines of phrases and stuff.
Right on. Yeah.
Let's see here. Brad Miller asked, can you ask if anyone has recorded using Cubase? I have not myself.
No. I use Studio One these days, and I've used Reaper before, but I've seen Cubase, and I have friends that have it and use it as well, but I've never used it personally. But I'm sure it's great.
Nice. There's Ed Dana. Good to see you.
Dana.
JJ's House of Jams. What's up? Good to see you, brother JJ.
And Jamal's in here.
Probably tuning in from work, I would assume.
Yeah. He's at the airport, isn't he?
Always, it seems. Always.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Lionheart says be right back. All right. Well, we got all wait now until Lionheart gets back. No.
Yeah. Everybody get a drink.
Yep. My sister says she's high enough on cold meds to not be bothered to tag people on her phone.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, she's got the sickness too. So
speaking of your sister, are you two gonna record an original song together?
Yep.
Good.
I've got a couple ideas of how I want to go about it. And I've got one song that I've been kind of working on already. Kind of a Rolling Stones, Zeppelin-y. Yeah, it's kind of a really a love child between Jimmy Page and Ronnie Wood, with the different stops and stuff, with some rockabilly, you know, as typical of me. And I think that she could throw some really cool lyrics over top of that. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, we'll see if she likes it or not. And once we're all better, that's the big thing. Yeah. Justin Cox in Utah. What about guitar picks? What would you like to know? How about, what do you use for guitar picks, Brian?
I use a 83 to sometimes 87 mil. I guess they're called Tortex Flex by Dunlop.
Okay.
And that's the ones I can use a few different kinds, but that seems to be the one that I use the most.
I was using 1 mil Tortex, and then JJ had me start trying the white Tortex. Like, these are the Premier Guitar ones.
Okay.
I've been exclusively using Premier Guitar ones because I scammed about 30 of these from their booth at NAMM. And so I'm like, well, now's a good time to test out medium picks again. And it took me a couple hours of playing to get a hold of them. But after a while, they're great for pick slides, I will say.
What's the thinner picks. What's the thickness of them?
That's a good question. They feel 60, 63 range.
Okay. Yeah, I like the not the thick one, but like, you know, like I said, the 83s are pretty much a nice spot for me guitar wise, because I use my strings pretty much 9s or 9.5s is where I like my strings. So But when I played bass for years, and I always used most of the time I used the pick, and I use these really really thick picks, right? And then when I started playing guitar, I'm like, I can't use that. That's not gonna work on guitar for me. Yeah,
it was weird. I started out with 9s and medium picks because that's what my dad used. So I'm like, well, it's good enough for dad, good enough for me. And then I slowly started getting thicker picks, and I think I was using like an 88. And then I moved up from 9s to 11s on guitar because Richie used 11s. And I went, holy crap, okay, these, you know, they got some cool tone. And a buddy of mine got some custom picks done that were 1 mil. And it was the first time I played with a pick that wouldn't flex at all. And I couldn't believe the attack you could get. And my speed increased tremendously as a result. And then I dropped back down to 9s, but kept the thick pick. And I still wasn't breaking strings or anything. So I was like, wow, I really don't have to work at all here. But can't do pick slides too well.
No, they're different, yeah.
I do pick slides like 20 times a night, so.
Cool.
Terry has a question for Brian. If Brian is originally a bassist, will he do more bass stuff too then?
Maybe. I haven't really. I'll probably be doing something with, you know, covering maybe doing a live stream show more dedicated to bass, and, you know, a few episodes here and there if there's interest in that. Yeah, I'm not opposed to it.
Hey, Jay Steen. Man, we got a whole bunch of people jumping in tonight, and a few new names as well. Yeah. Welcome one, welcome 55. All.
Nice.
Again, hanging here with Bryan Cote. If you're new to Brian, please give him a sub. The link to his channel is down below. Good to see everyone. So yes, if you have any questions for us, keep them coming. Keep them coming.
Yeah, for sure.
We're showing you up to 184 in subscribers now.
Cool.
Oh, 186.
Hey, it's going
I
up
just
as
realized
we
I
speak.
didn't have the bell rung for you, so I just rung the bell too.
Okay.
Hey, Matt
cool.
Duffy. Let's see. Four Walls Music. I bought a cigar box guitar back in July. Love it. Have you, Brian, or anyone else played or bought one? I have played cigar box guitars. Actually, there was a guy displaying them at Cosmo last year.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was in the same booth as the Levy straps and stuff.
Yeah,
right next to it.
They do sell them there as well. So, but I never tried one. I'm curious about them. Are they?
We tried
They're
them
like
because it was the first time I ever got to play an electric one.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious about them. I've seen a couple of blues players online that they play them, and they play them really well, and they sound pretty cool. So I'm interested in trying one.
Yeah. Very cool. Red Kryptonite Nations 13. Hello, can't stay, but I dropped a much love. Thank you. Awesome.
Thanks. Thank you.
I think Blues makes an awesome cigar box guitar. Lionheart says, awesome.
Okay.
Mayhem says you're up to 187 in subs. Excellent.
There we go. Cool.
You got okay. Four Walls has a 3-string cigar box guitar. Nice. That seems to be the most common thing these days, the 3 strings.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not too familiar with them. I guess I thought they were mostly 4 strings, correct?
I thought so too.
Yeah. But how would that be tuned? Like, would that just... I wonder how that's set up.
I think it's tuned to like G, D, and G.
Okay. And do they chord? Like, do they do chords on them, or they just?
Well, yeah, you're tuned to a power chord, so it's kind of like open G tuning in a way.
Right. Right. Okay.
Hello, Mr. C 5150. Good evening from New Hampshire. Good evening. JJ just jammed an 89 Les Paul through a Bogner Shiva Guitar Center. Great tones.
Cool.
Yeah, the advantage of living in Southern California, like, you know, we go to a music store and hope for the best. And my God, the stuff I was looking at Craigslist while I was down there. He's like, "Oh yeah, check this out." I'm like, "Oh, you bastard!" You know, it's.
Yeah, I know. They've got a lot of selection, right?
That's so true. So true. Let's see. Ed says there's 2-string, 3-string, 4, or even 1-string. Lots of slide work. Yeah, big on slide.
Yeah, that might be something I'd like to try and maybe add to the collection at some point, just to have something different, right?
Yeah, I agree.
So I do a lot of recording, and it's nice to have different tools to record with and add into the mix, right?
Yep. Yeah, especially when it comes to the recording process, it's amazing because what sounds good live doesn't necessarily sound good when you record it, or you're looking for something unique that does cut through the mix. I remember Richie saying one time he cut a track and he played a Les Paul with bronze acoustic strings on it.
Wow.
Which just gave it, and I forget what it was, and using like a penny as a pick. It was, but it worked. It totally cut through, and he's like, "Yeah, it sounded like ass in the studio, but once it was laid down, it sounded amazing."
Yeah. Once you add it to the rest of the mix that you're doing, you can create some pretty unique things. And then once you're doing the mastering phase, it's amazing what comes out because you've got those frequencies and those different textures to put in. It's quite the process. I've done quite a bit of studio work with my other band, Smear. The last band I was with, we recorded a few CDs, and one of them was recorded at Metalworks in Mississauga, and that's a huge studio, a lot of big bands there. And I was like amazed by some of the stuff that they had there for studio equipment and all the the variety of things that they were making us do. The engineers and stuff were kind of okay, let's try this speaker with this combination of tube, and they were going to that extreme, and they were getting completely different tones that I would have never even, like, at that point I just said, okay, plug my amp in and let's go. But they were trying all kinds of different things, and it made a big difference at the end.
What studio was that?
Metalworks.
That's where I
Metalworks
recorded my
Studios in
album.
Mississauga.
Yep. Yeah, I spent a weekend.
Awesome. Yeah.
There. Well, it was funny because our business manager at the time, he's like, "You got to make a demo." I'm like, "Okay," and he's like, "Where do you want to record?" And me being an idiot, I went, Metalworks, but it's got to be Studio A. He goes, "Why?" I'm like, "I want that original console."
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah.
And so we did.
Yeah. It's a special place.
It is it's a trip. First you walk through the lobby and you're looking at all the gold and platinum records, but then I found for me it was the biggest thing is being in the isolation booths, because you realize for the size of the booth, your feet are standing exactly where dozens of legends stood. Yeah,
exactly right. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. That's for sure.
Yeah. See here, everyone's talking about weather and this and that. Let's see. Junior Brown with the guitar is still amazing. Justin Cox in Utah says. Yeah.
Okay. JJ's played a DSL 40 as well. Okay.
Yeah, the resonance knob on the DSL 40. I think a resonance knob should be on every amp. It not just dials in balls.
Mm-hmm.
All right, see you, sis. Say hi to Sam for me. Sounds like she's not doing too well at the moment. Amanda. Yes, the weather sucks all over Dennis today. Lionheart, what is your favorite guitar? Probably, as far as style goes, a Telecaster.
Yeah.
I can do just about everything with a Telecaster.
Yeah, they're very versatile instruments. I find them very comfortable as well.
Yep.
But I've always been a Les Paul guy, and I kind of...
That's my second.
I'll tell you what, though. I've got that Strat last week, the Friedman one, and I never could play a Strat because of where the volume knob was, and I never felt comfortable. But these Friedmans don't have the same type of setup where the controls are, so they're pushed back a little bit, and it's so comfortable, man. It's like I don't know what it is about these Friedman guitars, but they're built almost like broken in. So you play them and you pick them up, they feel like an instrument you've had all your life type of thing. They're so comfortable and they sound great. So I've been having a great time with that guitar.
Well, Grover, when I was talking to Grover Jackson, not to drop that name, but he said he's having more fun building guitars now than he has in ages. And he feels he's building the best guitars he's ever built too.
Right.
Yeah, and I think it shows.
Yeah, there's definitely something to be said about him. Yeah.
Let's see, Mayhem question for us. Worst guitar accident. Mine was the time a wall of guitars fell down at the pawn shop. Thankfully, my wallet was not hurt.
Oh my God.
I've had guitars like strap locks fail but caught the guitar. I think the biggest thing for me was spilling a lot of beer on stage because we were so heavy. I used to vibrate the amp head off the cabinet of my half stack.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh, and it looked hilarious because first of all, I was the guy, I had the same facial hair as Lemmy at the time. So I was, as soon as I walked into a bar, they're like, "You're with the band." I'm like, yes, I am.
Yeah.
Set up our gear on stage, and as soon as I put my amp head on top of the cab, I'm pulling out duct tape and I'm duct taping the head to the cab.
Oh, geez.
And people are like, "How heavy do you guys play?" I'm like, heavy enough that thing will vibrate. And, it was always enough. It would vibrate off so the two back feet would fall off. And then your full beers would roll off the amp head. And the drummer would be pissed because his left leg is now covered in beer.
Wow.
And he didn't drink, so he really hated being covered in beer.
Yeah, I can imagine.
How about yourself?
Nothing that happened like as far as a guitar falling over, but I did have an accident on stage once, and I think I told the story in another stream that I was on. As a kid, I always liked Motley Crue and BC Rich guitars because Nikki Sixx played that Warlock and stuff. So I ended up buying one. I mean, I don't even think like this back in the early 80s, right? So I picked up that guitar and we were playing one night. We played a lot of these bigger type of parties where they would put this flatbed type of truck in the middle of some barn or whatever, and all these people would show up and you'd have a huge concert, right? Well,
Yeah.
they had these monitors set up in the front, and I was playing and I was drinking, you know, just having a ball, whatever, doing stuff. And I moved a lot on stage, and then my singer he moved back and I didn't see him. So I kind of went to avoid him and I tripped on a monitor. And that BC Rich, if you know anything, they're so sharp. I fell right on it, just about like knocked all the air out of me. As far as like, I'm surprised I didn't break anything.
Right.
But yeah, that's the only thing as far as an instrument type of disaster that kind of happened on stage. But it didn't break the bass. I was so surprised. Like, I think I fell right on it and then fell on the monitor, and then I picked myself up, looked around, everybody was still playing, everything was cool, and I played the rest of the song, but the bass was completely out of tune. Mm-hmm. That's for sure.
I almost walked off the front of a 6-foot-high stage once. God. I would play without my glasses on, and I remember we were getting ready to play at a festival, and literally we're like seconds away from walking up on stage, and some band out of Montreal just shows up out of nowhere and basically walks right in front of us and starts taking their gear up. And we're like,
oh, no.
What the hell? Like, and
Jeez.
So the promoter comes over and he's trying to calm us down, and he's talking to me, and he's got this bottle of vodka in his hand, which hadn't been cracked yet. And I said, well, you're cracking that bottle of vodka to keep me from just loading up my gear and leaving, because I am not impressed about this. Because it was right at the point where it looked like all of a sudden, because they went on, meant we had to play at sunset facing the sun. And I didn't want to do that, obviously, because you're blinded. And so he's calming us down over the duration of this quick little half-hour set by these Montreal guys. And we started passing that vodka bottle around, which I thought was a 26er, that 2 or 3 of us drank a 40-ouncer of vodka before going on stage.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, you know, I'm having a great old time, and I'm wireless, and I go up to the front of the stage to go and play, and I felt a hand on my shirt grab me and pull me back, because I was about to take another step and would have, you know, tumbled right off. And it was at least a good 6 feet high, that stage. I went, oh, thanks, buddy. You know, rock and roll.
Yeah, that's a little scary. That's a little scary.
We pulled off the set. It was definitely a sleazy set, to say the least. But fortunately, it was so high impact that, you know, you're playing the same music for years that you rely a lot on muscle memory. And even on muscle memory, the show's 90% of the way there. And
that's right.
And the promoter loved it. He's like, oh, you guys are great. And I'm like, really? I don't even remember what we played.
Right on.
Hey, Sean Zimmerman's in the house. It says, my buddy walked backwards off a 3-foot stage once with his Telecaster laying flat on his back. We all ran to make sure the guitar was okay. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Right.
Yeah, been there.
Cool.
That's why I always joke about, you know, during load-ins this time of year, you're walking through snow and on ice. If you slip, you always somehow wrap the guitar in its case around you, and you fall, break the fall of the guitar.
You take the hit. Yeah.
It's like, I can afford to have a cracked rib. I can't afford to replace the neck on my telly.
That's right.
Hey, Albus Band, Aaron, good to see you. Sorry I'm late. Band practice. Yeah, we did a 4.5-hour rehearsal today. We got another one Tuesday, and then gigging Saturday.
Is it Saturday you're gigging? Yeah.
Yep. We gigged Saturday the 2nd, and then 2 weeks after that, I think we play on the Friday night of whatever that would be, the 15th, I guess. And then, is
that local in your area, or?
Yeah, one town over in Belleville. So
okay, cool.
Bad. Pretty much all of our gigs are in Belleville, it seems. One town, because it's a town of like 30,000 people, so there's a few venues that like us. And
so, what kind of bars are there around there as far as to play? Are they like
the first one we're playing at? It's more of a British pub, style, which is
Okay.
nice because they only need us to play from 9 until midnight.
Yep.
And then the next gig after that, it's your typical dive bar, you know, old downtown Belleville, you know, very like the clubs on Queen Street, very narrow, very long.
Okay.
Generally smell like a nice combination of stale beer and body odor.
Right.
The clientele is usually well imbibed by the time you're loading in at 7 p.m. and you're thinking, there's no way they're going to make it to last call. But they do somehow.
Yeah. They're diehards. Yeah.
And then in town here, we play at a local pool hall where they have a space out. Like they don't have an actual stage, but a nice big area. And that place, man, you get 150, 200 people in there on a good night to come see you play, which is, you know, pretty much unheard of at clubs these days.
Yeah, I've been out of that scene, well, since 2008 is when I got out of it, and I haven't really been to too many like bars and stuff to see bands, like not that much anyway, because once I kind of not quit, but the band got done and stuff, I needed a break from it because I had done it for over 25 years solid, like really a lot of gigging, recording and stuff. And once that happened, I decided to take a break. And when I say take a break, I didn't even walk into a music store. Probably 2 years ago, I went into a music store. That was the first time since 2008. I didn't go see concerts. I completely cut myself out of that whole scene because just needed a break from it. I had too much of it. So that's why I'm wondering like how the bars are these days as far as for gigging and stuff. Are there still a lot of places to play? And
it's about the same as it was 10 years ago, I'd say. You know, a few less places. Okay. It seems like, you know, one opens for every 2 that close, but there's still a few out there. And, you know, especially, you know, up and down the 401, right? That's the big thing.
Right.
And
so do you have to bring your PA?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We bring our own PA, our own lighting, everything. You know, a couple of like when we gigged in Toronto, we played places that had their own sound guy. But man, half the time it's subpar, you know, unless you're playing like the Rock Pile, which is a dedicated live music venue. The Rock Pile, my God, I think I've never sounded so good in my life. It was the first time I ever heard myself, other than because we only run vocals through the PA system. Everything else is just stage volume. And we show up and this guy's miking all the amps and he's like, oh yeah, everything goes through. I mix everything down. Yeah. And so I'm playing and I was like, okay, whose guitar am I hearing through the monitors? And he's like, well, that's you. I said, that's not me. Like, granted, it sounded pro, that guitar tone. I said, but that's not me, dude. I said, drop the EQs, drop the compression, drop. He's like, well, you won't sound as professional. I said, I know that, but at least it'll sound like me and I know what I'm listening for. And please drop the guitar out of the monitor because I've got a half stack 6 feet behind me. I can hear me fine. Right.
Yeah, the bars that we played, and the times that we played and stuff, they always had a PA or some sort of system. Only a few of the places we would rent something if we needed it. But back then, most of the venues that were hiring bands and stuff, they all had some sort of PA and a sound man. So that was nice.
Yeah, I found it like a lot of those gigs, it was multi-band gigs through a promoter. So the promoter did hire a sound guy and stuff. So that wasn't too bad.
Right.
But I remember my idiot bandmates, I have to say, because we were offered a chance to record our set through the board. And I said, dude, we should do it. And it's like, well, the guy wants $100 to do it. Well, I was talking to the sound guy. He just came off tour as the monitor mixer for the Macaulay Schenker group.
Wow.
So I was like the guy's a professional sound. We're never going to sound this good, folks. And they didn't want to pop up the $20 per guy. And it's just like, come on, yo. I said we would have had a live album right then and there, but nope, they didn't want to do it.
Cool.
Yeah. But it was funny because it was a promoter that rented out the Rock Pile, and we were brought in as the headliners from out of town. And I said, you know, and I was saying to our bass player, because he booked the gig, and I was like, so you got us a green room? No. You got us food? No. So we're inside the van. I said, watch this. This is what I said. I'm going to turn into a diva for about 20 minutes. I was like, okay, let's watch Ben go. And I walk in. I was like, okay, so where's our green room? Well, we don't have one. I said, well, you do. And they're like, well, I don't think they have one here. I said, well, look, when Helix played here 2 weeks ago, they weren't sitting at the tables. They have a room. When the Killer Dwarfs play here, they have a green room. Oh, okay. Next thing you know, we've got the green room. We've got dinner comp to us, a pitcher of beer. Nice. And they're like, oh, I'm like, hey, guys, you got to play the role.
Yeah, you got to talk, right? Sometimes if you don't talk, you don't get it.
Exactly. Hey, Krellbar, good to see you. So, let's see. I'm just going to check the chat here. Quentin says they had their own PA, lighting rig, the whole 9 yards. Yeah, we're the same way. Right. If we don't have to bring it all, great. But we are prepared because generally I have the soundboard set up right next to me, and I'll mix the sound on the go. Okay. Which is always fun. It's like, oh, great, an A chord. Great. At least I can hit an A string while I adjust levels.
Yeah, that'd be a little challenging.
It can be. It can be.
Do you play at the Rock Pile like different times or just?
I've only played there once myself.
Okay.
Yeah. I keep meaning to get it there, but it's it's the far end of Toronto for me, right? And
yeah, it's far for you, right?
Yeah, and unfortunately for us, the night we played there was a blizzard started about an hour before we went on stage. So
oh no!
It took us about 4 hours to get back home that night.
Wow. Yeah, that's not fun. But I have a friend who I used to play with back in '92, like that thrash band that I played with. His name is Roland Rocks, and I'm pretty sure you've seen his name around on Facebook and stuff. But he plays at the Rock Pile all the time. He plays with a couple of tribute bands, a Black Sabbath one, an Iron Maiden one, Judas Priest one. So he plays with a bunch of them. But he sometimes hosts jam nights that happen at the Rock Pile on a weekly basis and stuff. And he's been bugging me since he found out I got back into playing guitar, and he saw a couple of videos. He's already, you have to come down and jam with me because it's been, many years and stuff. I said, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready for that.
Yeah. Guitar Hack, the guy with the longest guitar cord, does sound check. Yeah, pretty much. And Quentin's like, how do you mix from on stage? I walk about 10 feet out front of the stage, and, you can tell within 10 feet of the stage if the vocals need to come up overall over top of the band a bit more. It's more tweaking than anything else. You have an idea where to rough everything in. It's like I know my voice is weaker than Richie, so I got to put my mic a bit hotter than his. Our singer, she's actually got a set of lungs on her, so we can actually have her turned down in comparison, even though she will still be louder.
So nobody uses a wireless?
I used to. I just got out of it just because I keep forgetting to replace the batteries all the time. And yeah, I was the guy that was always scouting out convenience stores when we're pulling up near a venue, because I'm like, all right, at some point I'm going to send my girlfriend in the middle of the night to get me a 9-volt battery for the last set.
Right. At the new the Line 6, they have these nice systems where they charge, they put them in a charger and they charge the I guess the transmitter and stuff. I had one. I bought the G10 just about a year ago now. Problem was it worked fine, but in my environment here where there's a lot of electronics going on, there was some interference, so it just couldn't work for me. But I wish they released a new one. I'm curious to see if it's any better because I would love to have that in my studio where I don't have a patch cord, like I keep reaching for it and I'm moving around a lot, hooking this on or putting that on or whatever. And then I've got this cord going everywhere. So it'd be nice just to have that.
Yeah,
plug it in and you're good to go.
One that was a pack that I would just duct tape to my guitar strap and then with the receiver sitting on my amp head. But a lot of the smaller ones, like the one Tone King sent me, that for lack of almost like a cartridge style, they're great, except they don't fit in most Telecaster output jacks because the output jack's recessed and the device is too big to fit in there. Right.
Yeah. I think now they come with an adapter for those types of guitars, right?
Yeah.
So that you can put an adapter to it and then it'll fit, I think.
Yeah. Most of the time I'm only running, 8-foot cable anyways, because there's, especially now we keep adding band members and the stages aren't getting any bigger. I'm usually like, I've got my little 3-foot by 3-foot spot I'm allowed to stand in. And that's about it, between the pedal board and then my guitar's next to me and my amp right behind me. I have my little office at stage left. That's about it.
Yeah, you stay in that zone.
Yep. Hey, Wolverine, just stopping in while the wife watches the Oscars. That seems to be a pretty common trait.
Yeah, that's what my wife's doing right now too.
Yeah. I know my mom's watching the Oscars, so.
Yeah. I'm not a big award show guy.
No, I still remember the last award show I watched was when Jethro Tull got Heavy Metal Album of the Year. That was literally the last one. That was the last straw.
I remember that one very well. Yes.
Yeah. I didn't mind them back in the 80s because, you know, like rock had crossed over into pop at that point. And, you know, like even the pop music was good music, you know, because we're talking, you know, your Michael Jacksons, your Madonnas, your Duran Duran and stuff. You know, there was always still a bit of a guitar in there. And, you know, 40% of the live music was good, you know, during the shows. And we're all younger too. So we're easier.
Yeah, but Jethro Tull, like they weren't even metal. Why were they even in that category?
Yeah. Well, I remember James saying that. I didn't think they were metal when they were big. You know?
No, it's crazy. I didn't get that one.
Yeah, not anymore, Todd Flower saying. Yeah, no kidding. They had more women. Grammys were good because they had far more women playing guitar this year. Good trend for Gibson and Fender and others. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Like to see more women playing.
Yeah.
Because I think if we have more women playing the guitar, maybe we'll get a little more mainstream again. You know, because I always think even in the early 2000s when pop was already becoming very produced, there was always that high saturated guitar solo or something, you know, like even in commercial work, there was always that room for that heavy guitar sound over top of anything.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, and that's all gone these days. You don't hear any more guitar and pop music. I don't anyway.
No,
it's all computerized, programmed.
So far back, or
yeah.
Yeah, I think if anything, it's mostly acoustic work you hear, if anything, for guitars these days.
That's true.
Yes.
Bohemian Rhapsody just won sound mixing Oscar. Okay.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think too, you know, maybe we'll see a resurgence. You know, what we need is another generation of pissed off teenagers that just want to play loudly in the garage. We can get some of that. Or there are a ton of young rock bands out there. It's just getting them a leg up. Like we have an independent rock fest down here every year, and it's 2 full days of original music, and most of the guys playing are under the age of 30, and it's great.
Right. Well, it's the music industry as a whole has changed so much that bands don't have the same, I guess, way to get the promotion and everything. They're doing a lot of it themselves, right? There's no record company or big machine behind it where you had A&R reps coming to see you, and you had a lot more opportunities in that area, and it seemed to be a different time. And now today it's almost like everybody gets everything for free, so there's no record companies anymore, and the ones that are there are very limited in what they're going to sign and what they're going to give you, as far as, so try making a living at doing this is a lot harder than it was, back 20 years ago even. So I think that doesn't help our situation as far as getting people back into doing this and doing it seriously, like trying to make a living at it and putting out albums and stuff. So
speaking of guys making a living at it, we got the Law in the house. Jamie just got a new Kramer guitar that looks awesome.
Cool.
Yes. Very cool. Very cool indeed. But yeah, I agree. Like, I knew we had our chance was Billy Talent's guitar player. He does a lot of music scouting and a lot of signing and producing and stuff. And he came out to watch us play one night and gave us a pass. And he's just like, yeah, you guys are good, but you're not marketable. I'm like, no, because we're 20 years too old.
Right.
And he's like, well, what were you expecting out of it? And I said, honestly, that you'd hear 3 songs you'd want to buy from us, to use with some young band. You know, like here's the guys that have the look, but they need a song. These guys have a song that we can't market. And I was totally happy with, I was fully willing to sell a song, you know?
Yeah. 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 I've done that a few times. I've got a company that I work with out of California, and what they do is they license music for feature films and commercials and things like that. And so I've gotten a couple of my songs featured in some of those projects and stuff. It's not a whole lot of money, but I mean, you know, they throw you a few $1,000s to have your song in some, you know, for me, it was a dirt bike movie, and one was like this movie out of Europe. It's not these mainstream big production things, but your songs and stuff are in that library for the mainstream and the bigger productions to have a look at. And if it, for some reason, your song fits what they need, then they're going to make that deal with you. So I find that if you have music that you've recorded and it's out there, you might as well, you know, put it out for different uses. And if you can, you know, make a little money to license it, as long as you're licensing it to a cause or a movie or something like that that you like, it's not something that, you know, you don't want to be associated with. I think that's fine.
I agree. Lionheart says the only genre where older guys can be frontmen on guitar is blues. Yeah. And not even country. I wouldn't even say country is bad as pop as far as marketability.
Right.
You can't be a front person in country unless you have the matinee idol good looks and
yeah. That's true.
And then let's see, was a bearded blues dude. I think if we want folks to play music and make albums again, we need to start buying albums again. Until recently, I quit buying albums in favor of streaming. I fully agree. Like last year when I was at that music festival, I would walk up to a band that I really liked, and I'm like, okay, give me a shirt, a CD, stickers, buttons. And they're like, really? You want all of it? I said, we got to get you down the road to the next gig.
That's right.
I'm prepared to buy, you know, I'm giving you guys a tank's worth of gas to get you down the road. And that meant so much to them. I said, well, I know how it is, guys. You know, I've been doing it myself.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's, if you can buy something and support a band, that's you know, it'll definitely help. That's for sure. I'm just concerned that the generation that's growing up now hasn't grown up in that environment where they were buying physical, you know, media and stuff, where now they just expect it to be free, right? So they'll go in iTunes and basically Apple Music or something and stream it, and they figure that's regular to them. That's what they know. Yeah. So the other way around is kind of different. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what happens.
Jay Steen says, how old is too old for the market, you think, Ben? 26. If you're not already in the public or the publishing machine by 26, you're too old.
Right.
Which is sad, but, you know, could be worse. The other, you know, if you're into pop, 22. If you're not famous by the age of 22, you're already washed up.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayhem. Yes, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. If you're new to Bryan, please subscribe to his channel as well. Link down below. Yeah, not a problem, Jay. I grew up in the industry. You know, like I remember, I want to say around 1988, 1989, in Canada, my dad could get you a Juno nomination for $100,000.
Really?
Yeah, and that is, if you have a song, a decent song, for $100,000, you would get recorded, produced, album pressed, or at least single pressed, music video, heavy rotation on Much Music, radio play, magazine articles, the whole shebang, which would then, because it doesn't take a lot to get a Juno nomination because we have so few people out there doing it. You know, that would put you into that top 5 candidates for the Juno nod. You know, you wouldn't necessarily win a Juno, but you could probably get a nomination for about $100,000.
Is that right? Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Just look at Atlanta Miles. Cough, cough.
Yeah.
We single-handedly watched the rise of Atlanta Miles because she was gigging around here a fair amount before she got famous. And Yeah, that was a lot of negativity. You know, the old guys standing around the music store talking. They're like, you believe this? You know, last week she's playing down the road, and now she's doing. It's like she had the
Really?
corporate machine behind her.
Yeah, it makes a big difference.
Yeah, you know, you go down to Nashville, you record your album with the right producers, and question for you from Brian Stewart asks, question for Brian, do you ever shoot old-fashioned film any longer? I used to work as a sports photographer. Love being in the darkroom waiting to see the results.
I do not. I still have a film camera, but I haven't shot film in a long time. Just time-wise, and I don't know. It's just more convenient now doing everything digitally, and I don't have anything against it. I'll probably pull it out again and, you know, do some stuff with it down the road when I want to, you know, do something different. But I haven't in a long time. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, and I would think, you know, similar to recording music, you know, like people are like, what, you know, like you're not recording to tape, you know, you're recording digitally. It's like, well, yeah, you know, like some people tell you recording to tape will sound better, but try editing tape as opposed to drag and dropping a file, right?
Yeah, it's it's definitely a different world. It's a whole different technique. I mean, it's just, I only have so much time, right? So I've got to take what time I have and use it as effectively as I can to produce, you know, as many things that I have to produce. So sometimes it's just not convenient, but it's a cool medium and it's fun to play with, but I haven't done it in a long time.
Yep. Terry Brady, yeah, just like Shania Twain, yeah, that's all Mutt Lang and using his
connection. Well, that's it. Yeah. Yeah.
And exactly. Lionheart says, I grew up in Nashville. It's full of broke musicians wanting to make it big. Oh yeah. You know, New York, Nashville, and LA, right?
Yeah.
Vancouver and Toronto. So same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, we had some opportunities, and sometimes you think, like, we entered this competition back in 2003, I believe, when we released our first CD. We entered a competition. It was Independent Musicians Awards or whatever. That was out of the States, and they had all these big names judging it, like Rob Thomas of Matchbox 20 and some big producers, and even Bob Rock was part of the panel and stuff. Mm-hmm. And we won third place in hard rock for a song called Mother that we had put out. And we thought at that point that, okay, this is it. This is the start of where we need to be, because we're going to get that recognition and we're going to get in front of these people that have judged us and put us at number 3 out of all these bands that submitted to be part of this, you know, independent musician award or whatever. But it was okay. We actually won. Like, we won some stuff. We won a PA and we won some money and we won some recording time, and that was fine. But nothing past that we thought that would get us into the industry part of it a lot more. That it wasn't that at all. So it was kind of like weird that you have a perception that if you get this, then you're going to have that huge step taken and then you can move forward. But it doesn't always work out that way.
Exactly. I totally agree. Hey, Lars Guitar, and looks like Guitar Hack is headed out. Have a good one, buddy.
Okay.
Thanks for
Hope
tuning
you're feeling
in.
Better.
Yes. I agree. Let's see. Ron Gillespie, welcome. He says, what are your thoughts on all of the new changes over at Gibson? Well, I'll let you answer that first, Brian.
Sure. I think they're very positive changes. I'm very excited to see where things are going. I like the direction that they're taking as far as concentrating on what they're known for and their heritage, and sticking with that and not trying to be something that they're not. Focusing on that quality control where every guitar goes through the same amount of steps, and everybody, you know, there's a lot of things that were kind of ignored and let go in the past, where now all these things are being addressed. So I'm really, you know, positive about the experience. I think that these new models coming out will be what Gibson should be moving forward. So I'm excited to see, and I want to try a new standard for sure, either the 50s or the 60s. I'll try both of them and see how they feel. I'm excited about it.
I like it. You know, basically 2 neck designs, your thick 50s, your thinner 60s, because that's all any of us really talk about. And the fact that they're actually practicing what they preach. You know, 2 years ago it was, we're heritage, we're heritage. Here, take all this gimmick stuff. But you just shoved heritage down my throat. You're having us pay for heritage, but you're not giving us heritage. And like I say, they did a reset. I love everything they're doing. I thought, you know, they stole NAMM as far as I'm concerned, because they basically, with the exception of putting up a banner saying we're back, which they didn't need to, it was blatantly obvious by the sheer volume of gear that they showed up with at that show. They had probably twice as many guitars as the next biggest booth, access to everything. And their CEO is going about it right. You know, he's doing the press. He comes across as a knowledgeable guy, considering he's not from the industry, but he plays, you know, it's like, I love it. You know, they're actually going back to being an instrument company and not a lifestyle brand.
That's right. Yeah, I agree. I think it's a positive change, and it needed to be done, and I'm happy that it is, and we'll see what happens, right?
Yeah. Let's see. Aaron says, my Gibson rep, because he works at Guitar Center, is even pumped. So it's reaching the people that work for the company, and that rules. Yeah. Like, man, you know, those sales reps for Gibson the last few years, man, talk about a thankless job. Here, go out, you know, move 300 of this product. Like, I'm lucky if I can move 3 of them, buddy. You know?
That's right. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, as long as Bearded Blues dude, as long as they keep the QC right, you know, like obviously I wasn't going to find any crappy guitars at NAMM. I'm sure they went over every one with a fine-tooth comb, but give it 4 months. I want to be able to walk into a store. I'm not expecting a perfect setup, because as far as I'm concerned, that's still up to the bloody stores to actually do, and not enough stores take the time, which I never quite understood too. Like, if you own a music store and you're trying to move product, don't you want those guitars playing as well as possible to, you know, because if I pick up a guitar and I can't play it, I'm not buying it. Whereas if I pick up a guitar and go, oh my God, this thing plays amazing, I have to have it.
Yeah, and, it's bad for sales. Yeah.
You know, it's like,
I don't get it either.
Action and intonation, folks. Like, we're not asking you to, you know, do a complete restoration or setup, but just the basics.
Yeah. No, not enough music stores take, you know, the time to do that. I don't know why. Maybe it's laziness or something. I don't get it. Yeah.
Pork Chop SUV never once had a setup by a store. I think I had some guitars set up in the past when I was like in high school, but I made a point of watching the setup being done. So immediately I'm like, oh yeah, okay. And then that was it. You know, it was like, oh, you don't come in for setups anymore. No, because you showed me.
Hey, you do your own, yeah.
Exactly, which saves a lot of money. That's for sure.
Yeah, I do most of the stuff, but some of the stuff I don't. Like if a neck is a little, like if it's tweaked too much or something, and I'm trying to adjust it and I'm not getting it, I don't want to screw with it more than that. Then I'll bring it into a professional service and, you know, take care of this. But I'll try to do most of it myself if I can. Yeah, that's why if I like especially with truss rod adjustments, I'll adjust it. If it doesn't go where I want it, let it sit for 24 hours, because, you know, over that time it can still keep moving. If it's still not where it needs to be, that's when I'll take it to Richie and have him take a look. Or I remember I did a setup on one of Mayhem's guitars, and I got it like 98% of the way there, but I couldn't quite dial in the setup completely. And I ended up taking it into another guy who does pro setups. And even that guy's like, yeah, it was almost there. It just needed this slight little tweak. But it was like, you got to back off this, jack that, because everything was within reason, but everything just needed to be tweaked that little bit. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think you You got to let a professional look at it at some point if you're not getting it right, and you don't want to break something or make it even worse.
Exactly. And it also depends on which guitar it is too. Like, I'll replace the pickups in one of my cheaper guitars, but when it comes to the vintage stuff, just because I'm afraid of even some solder splatter or something hitting the finish. Here, Rich.
Right.
He goes, oh, great, thanks. And he hates that because he's like, he goes, can you give me a guitar worth under $5,000 to work on? I'm like, no, that's all me, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sean said, Zimmerman says, I hate it when you go into a music store and all the guitars have rust and corrosion on all the strings. Yeah, exactly. Like, for the store to eat the cost of 20 packs of strings, which is really not a lot of money, maybe $100, for them to eat the cost on, to have those guitars all playing nice.
I found that with the Friedmans. When I tried both of the Friedmans that I have, when I tried them right from the store, I don't know what it is, but when they ship them from Friedman or wherever, from California, wherever they come from, the strings they put on them are just crap. Like, they don't sound like they play and stuff, but it's almost like they've been used like for 2 months or something. It's so weird. So when I went to try this Strat here that I bought, I played and it's the same thing. I'm like, I told the guy, I said, listen, I can't really feel what this guitar is going to be without putting fresh strings on it and to really try it that way. So he took it in the bag and said, what strings you want? I told him what strings. They restrung the whole thing, brought it back to me and let me play for half an hour or more, whatever I wanted. Then I could really get a sense of what the guitar was. It was night and day difference as far as the strings. And I don't know why that is. Even the Telly that I bought from the Friedman, from Cosmo, the Friedman one, had the same thing. I picked it up and they're, dude, these strings, there's something weird. And then they changed the strings and it was like, okay, now it's perfect. I need, it's what I want. But I don't know why. It's an expensive guitar. It's like not something that you'd expect,
Yeah, I'm wondering climate or something, where it's located.
Maybe.
Hard to say.
Did you get a chance to try the Friedmans when you were at NAMM?
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, that was one of the first booths JJ and I went to. And actually, I got to play a couple of them at Cosmo Music Fest last year.
Okay.
Ironically enough, in the boutique amp distribution booth, I remember because the guy had a small Friedman combo amp with a Cali plugged into it. Richie and I are walking by, and whoever was working the booth, he had left for a minute. So all I see is an unattended Friedman. So I'm like, hold my bag, Rich.
Perfect.
Pick it up, because the way I see it is if you don't want it being played, you shouldn't leave it out near the front of your booth within reach of some random guy walking by. And I played, I was like, oh my God. And then I had just handed it off to Rich, and then Buddy showed up. He's like, so what do you think? I was like, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they play amazing. And then to sit down and talk to Grover about it and stuff, I was just like, dude, you're building amazing guitars. And he's like, oh, thanks. I was like, no, seriously. I was like, I've been playing a lot of guitars over the last year between Music Fest and Sweetwater's event, and every music store in the area, within an hour of here. I said, I played a lot, and I said, but I love your stuff, man.
Yeah. Well, he knows what he's doing. And with Dave Friedman's input as well, he's got his own style and stuff. So they put together some really nice guitars. It's almost like these guitars, you can pick them up and they feel completely broken in. And I like to really, grind in the strings and really, feel what the guitar is giving you as far as feedback and stuff. And I find these guitars to be that they're not delicate instruments almost where you don't feel like, oh, okay, I don't want to scratch something or it's, delicate. It's something you can really, they're rock and roll all the way, which I really like.
Yeah, exactly. And like I say, and with them being relict, you're not afraid to dig in. Whereas, what was it, when we're in the Keeley booth there, Robert had his Duesenberg plugged into a Milkman amp. And he's just like, takes the guitar off himself. He's like, here, try it. And I'm like, okay. Right. And I hit a chord, and Richie's like, oh my God, that guitar sounds awesome. And he reaches for the tag, and he looks, and he's like, that thing's $7,000. I'm like, I know, dude. I know. Believe me. You know, and I'm reaching over. I'm like, oh, headstock almost hit the table here. You know, I don't want to
Oh
wear it
God.
off the pedal or something.
Yeah.
Well, Wolverine's got to head out. Thanks for tuning in, buddy. Please leave a thumbs up if you haven't already. That goes for anyone watching. Please leave a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new. Subscribe to Bryan as well. We'll probably be wrapping things up in a few minutes here. So if you have any last-minute questions, ask away. Excuse me, because apparently
I can hear the wind. I don't know about you, but I can hear the wind out there like crazy right now.
Oh, it's nuts. It's nuts. Yes. Oh, Larry. Let's see. What are you up to now? Bring that up. 188. I like it.
Cool.
I'd like to see 12 more if possible, but
it's all good.
Yes, awesome stuff. Let's see. Well, do you have anything to add, sir?
Nothing really. I'd like to say thank you for having me on. It was great. We were chatting a bit before the stream. You were one of the first live streams guitar related that I discovered when I started getting back into this, and I think it was back in May or something. And I started finding this community, and you were kind of one of the first ones I started watching. So it's nice to, 6-7 months later to be be part of your show, which is awesome. So yeah, and I think you're doing some great stuff.
Thank you. Well, I just try to keep it real, and I think everyone brings their own unique thing to the table, and like we've got your professional YouTubers that are professional gear reviewers, for lack of a better term. You have the vast majority bedroom player, living room player, what have you, which is great because that was me until about 5 years ago. But I think the fact that I still do some gigging, so it's like, well, it's like when I ran into the Outlaw Reps guy at Cosmo, and we're like, oh yeah, Outlaw Effects, we know them. He's like, oh, you're familiar with our product. And we're like, yeah, we gig with them. And he's like, wait, whoa, not only do you own our product, but you actually use them gigging. Well, it's like, well, yeah, we use the looper, we use the tuners. We don't actually use any actual effects per se, but he didn't even know that. But he was just totally impressed with that, and that started a relationship with him just based on the fact I'm like, yeah, like I can get a piece of gear, I can review it and say, okay, well, now I'm going to take it out into the real world. I'll let you guys know how it worked on stage. And it could be something that sounds great at home, but maybe when you turn your amp up to stage volume, oh yeah, that thing's got a wicked sound coming through, and
yeah. I use their pedal. I have their Outlaw Effects pedal board. It's the, I guess, medium size one, and it's got the built-in, I guess, power supply, and it's like a lithium battery or something in there. It charges. It's nice. I like it.
Guitar Hack and I got to see a preview of that pedal board when he came down to visit me last June, and that board didn't come out for a couple of months. And at that time, we were looking, and it was loaded with a few Keeley pedals, because the Outlaw sales rep also does Keeley in Canada, and one of them was a Keeley compressor painted with a tartan on it, which I have only seen a couple of times, and that was unique for the Canadian market, but it was signed on the side too. And I said to Nathan, the sales rep, I said, I gotta have that compressor, dude. Like, please, what would it take to get that compressor? And he's like, this pedal board's being shipped out to not Ian Thornley, but the other guitar player in Big Wreck.
Oh,
and I went, oh, okay. Well, like, that makes sense. Okay, send it off. I get it.
Nice.
So, nice. But yeah. I remember we were looking at it, and I said to Hack, I'm like, yeah, you don't see this right now. Like, this is a product that's not going to be out for a couple of months. And he's just like, holy crap, this is cool. He was like, is this your normal day? I'm like, this is a good day. This is a good day when I'm hanging out with my buddy who owns a music store, and he's like, hey, you got to check out this new product.
Yeah, he shows you all this new stuff. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, Keeley makes some nice stuff. I got a Keeley compressor that I really I like. I use it a lot. So
it's an industry standard.
Yeah. I'm looking at maybe I think Keeley makes, I think it's the Cavern or something, where there's delay reverb built in one pedal or something.
Yeah.
I've heard some good stuff about that one, so I might check that one out at some point.
Yeah, he's got all kinds of really nice stuff, and he's a good guy too. Really cool guy.
Yeah,
no ego. Hey,
he
Happy
seems
Hunter.
very down to earth.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think I'm going to wrap things up here. If you want to hold the line, I want to thank everybody that tuned in tonight on this blustery Oscar night. You know, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Oh, and finally, I did get the new merch designs up on the website. Hopefully this time they stay on the website and don't get deleted by the website. Yes, Jay Steen, I missed that earlier. You got your stuff from Sean Pierce Johnson. That's awesome. Another great channel to check out, Sean Pierce Johnson, out of Laguna Beach, California. And I'll be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern afternoon show with our good friend of the channel, China Mike, China the Guitar Skeptic. That should be fun. Always love hanging out with Mike. And so until then, folks, hold those doors open. Let that guy in ahead of you in traffic. Do good things, and good things will happen to you because karma is real. I'm living the dream. Brian's living the dream. You can tell. Look at him. He's living the dream. So until next time, folks, have a great night and be good to each other. Rock on.
See you, everyone.